Oops. So this is for the assembly of my 4 cubic foot poly dump cart. It's a Gorilla cart. Got it from Amazon. Alright. Genius. Here is the parts and instruction manual for the Gorilla cart. I would like to say that this is genius because the nuts and washers that go with it are all together in each one. Each individual is packaged so it looks really good, and we don't have nuts and washers flying around all over the place. This looks real good. Here we have the first page of the assembly instructions, which shows our hardware at the top, the tools needed, and the first step of our assembly. As we can see, the first step of our assembly is to turn our tub upside down and assemble that particular part, which will need those hardware above it, which is those guys right there. Got the tub here, and we are using this piece right here. Now, as you can see here, this piece goes right here. Now, if we move over here, we can see there are more holes. So this hole goes with that, and this hole here goes with that. All right, let's get our screws and bolts and stuff and get them put in. Now, I found it easier to stand it up like this. I'm actually sitting down, but I found it easier to stand it up like this because I can kind of see all of the places I'm supposed to go with things. So, we're going to go like this. Okay? Let's see both of our holes here. Okay. Now remember, when you're doing this, that this, whoopsies, this part is going to be on the inside of the tub. So you're putting them in like this. So you reach around here, see how this is going in? Like that. Now it doesn't say to do this anywhere, but I put them, the first bolts in, I put them in opposite parts of this, and we're going to tighten them down the same way so that way everything gets put together evenly. And this is what it looks like when complete. We got those two and those two. If you look on the inside, you'll notice that everything is flush with the bottom or the side. And if you look at these nuts, they have a vinyl or some sort of insert, so they are not going to come loose like like you would think. So you don't have to crank them real tight. Just snug them up pretty good. So step 2 is going to be to use those, and then this frame. That frame is right here. Okay, let's take a look. Looks like we're going to be using number 2 there. Put those on. And this is what the frame looks like when it's on there. Now, one of the ways you know you've got it right is because there's holes here. That's where these guys fit in. They don't go in all the way. Make sure you're even here on the end. Okay, let's go ahead and put our bolts in. Okay, bolts are in, as we can see. And here's the assembled frame on the bottom. That is complete. We'll be proceeding to step 3 now. We can see what we've got going on there. And that You need 2 of each. And so, that is those guys right there. Alright, here we go. And then this part sits right like here. You can see it in orientation with this other pieces. That's what that looks like. And we're going to put our bolts and nuts on right there. Alright, let's do it. And this is what it looks like when this part's complete. And now comes the fun part. We're going to use these number 1s because we're going to put these guys together. Now, you may need to get help with this because it's going to be a little finagly at first, but it should work out okay. That part is going to go from here on this brace that we just, on this part that we just put here. We're going to have a brace. It's going to go from here down to these bolt holes, okay? From the brace to the bolt holes. The braces, there's 2 of these. One of them looks like this. And so, it has to go on there so that these line up. So, like this, that's a no-go. So we got to figure out how we're going to put this on here. It's like this. See how that goes on there? And then put the bolts down here. Nothing holds that on. Don't worry about that. You're worried about here. You want that to be able to move because this is a dump vehicle. Okay, let's do it. And this is what it looks like when the braces are assembled. All right, next step. Let's do it. Okay, looks like our next step is to take this stuff, number 5, and put it on the wagon. Now this is our piece right here. Now it looks kind of complicated and goofy, but think about it for a second. It's got to go a certain way because of where these guys are. And this thing. That's the pivot. It's going to allow it to turn. So we know it's got to go like this, right? No, it goes like this. All right, I'll put it on and show it for you. All right, next step. Let's do it. Okay, this part's a little bit tricky, so I'm going to show you. First thing we have to do is there's going to be a rubber or plastic piece that attaches to there. Make sure you take that off. You don't need that. Take that off. We're going to take our piece here. We're going to put it on like that, right? Well, now wait a minute. The instructions over here show us that there's something between there. That's this plastic piece. Okay? That's this plastic piece. So we put the plastic piece on first. Then we put this guy on. Maybe. Then we put these 2 pieces on. Alright, let's do it. And again, you don't have to crank that middle nut down super tight. In fact, you don't want to, because you want it to be able to move. Now, this guy is going to be a little hard to move at first. It will loosen up over time. Alright, what's the next step? Let's do it. And now we're going to set this puppy up to roll, roll, roll. We're going to use those 6s. As we can see, that's how we're going to put them on. There's the tires. Don't worry if your tires are a little underinflated. They're supposed to be. They're going to go on there. Now, this seems like it should be self-explanatory, but I bet it's not. This part is actually going to be on the inside. Or on the outside, excuse me. You're actually going to see it like that when it's complete. And I'll show you here in a second. Alright, next step. Let's do it. Alright. All 4 wheels are on. This is what it's supposed to look like here. Be sure that this part is behind here. I know it sounds silly. Make sure it's behind the cotter pin. I say this is someone who has made that mistake before. Then this little piece fell off, and the washer fell off. I was like, huh, what the? Yeah, okay. Now you know. Now it's the next step. Let's move it. Now our final step, of course, involves that number 7 bolt. In this situation right here, we're going to put the handle on. Now, you'll see the dip in the handle goes down. So it's like this, okay? Not like this. Having said this, because I've done it, yeah, it'll work, but it's not as efficient. So put it on with the dip part going towards the tires, towards the bottom, towards the ground. All right, next step. Let's do it. Okay, there it is. You see the bend is toward the ground, like that. Okay, these are all of the tools used. I use this instead of a crescent wrench because I think crescent wrenches are more difficult to operate with. This is an 11/16, which they used for this one. It probably is metric, but this one was close enough because all I need to do is keep it from turning. This guy is a 13, which is for all these little guys. This was also helpful for bending these cotter pins and for getting this bad boy. Okay, what's the next step? Let's do it. Now the next step is to get it on a hard surface because it's going to be easier to do from a hard surface. We want to check the dumping function. So we're going to put this part down like this. Come in here, pull, and lift. Huh, look at that. Now remember how we didn't do anything to attach these guys? That was so that they could roll on the ground and allow it to dump. It's really rather ingenious. So if you're having trouble getting it to dump sometime, check those back tires and make sure that they're free from obstruction. Shut it like that, boom, you're done. What's the next step? Let's do it. Well, there we are. That's the next step, to put some stuff in it. Looks like it holds it just fine. All right, well, that's how you put together that gorilla wagon. Folks, have a great day. Bye now. And don't forget, always ask yourself, what's the next step? And then do it.